Alrighty, so these notes are graphing linear equations given a slope-intercept equation. Alright, so let's go and look at our steps at the top. It says use the steps below to graph an equation using slope-intercept form. Step 1, it says write the equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, what's nice about this worksheet, okay, 1 through 9, is it's already done for you. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. Number 2, it says graph the y-intercept. Okay, this point is always 0b. All right, I'm going to go and back up real quick and go ahead and write slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. So now I know that my y-intercept is that number or value that does not have an x with it. Okay, it does not have an x with it. Step number 3, it says use the slope of the line to create more points. Remember, slope is rise over run. All right, my slope, okay, which we should know is m. Okay, slope is m. All right, just like y-intercept is b. All right, then on step 4, it says use a ruler to draw a line that extends to the points, placing an arrow on both sides. All right. So let's go ahead and look at the directions. It says graph each equation using the slope-intercept method. So my question number 1, it says y equals negative x plus 5. Okay, this one has already been done for you, but we're going to go ahead and go over it anyways. All right, so I know that my slope is m, which is what is in front of x. So if I look, I have a negative in front of that x. Well, that's that imaginary number that we don't always write, but we always know is there, which is 1. So my slope is negative 1. All right. Then I know that I can always write a fraction divided by 1 without it changing anything. Okay, if you divide anything by 1, it doesn't change. So now, by putting it divided by 1, I now have a rise over a run. All right, just like it says up here, it's rise over run. So now I have to label my b. All right, this was my m, so this is my b. So my b is going to be plus 5 here. All right, so let's go and look at number 1 following our steps. So step 1 is already done for us. Step 2, it says graph the y-intercept. All right, so I always start at the origin, okay, which is 0, 0. Start at the origin, and I'm going to go up, okay, because it's positive, I'm going to go up 5. So from the origin, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 there. All right, that is my y-intercept. Now I've got to break down the slope. I've got to create more points and use my rise over run. So when we're doing rise over run, it is always going to be up if it's positive, or it'll be down if it is negative. Then my bottom part, which is my run, will always be to the right. Okay, so it's either up or down, and I'm always moving to the right on that bottom part there for my run. So I'm going to go ahead and break down this slope. I have a negative 1 on top. So it's negative, so that tells me I'm going to go down 1. All right. Then on bottom, okay, I have a 1, which tells me I'm going to go right 1. So from this point, I go down 1 over 1, draw a point. 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 Okay? So in order to create a line, all I need is 2 points, all right? All you need is 2 points, but we can go ahead and finish this out. If I'm going the opposite way, okay, if I'm going the opposite way, I couldn't go down 1, right 1, because I'd end up at the same spot. So when we're moving to the left there, I'm going to do the opposite. So instead of going down, I'm going to go up 1, and instead of going right, I'm going to go left, all right? So get that extra point in there. So now, I'm going to use my class of 2018, all right, Waterburger tent to go ahead and draw my line, all right? So I'm using some type of straight edge, and I'm drawing my line there. Then I add my arrows on the end, and I now have my function, all right? Now have my function. function. So let's go ahead and look at number 2, and then we're going to go ahead and do number 3. All right. So on number 2, I know that my -3 is with that x, so that's going to be my m, and that -1 is going to be my b. All right, get in the habit of labeling those. So my slope is going to be -3, and my y-intercept is going to be -1. Okay, so I'm going to first break down this y-intercept. It is negative, so that means I'm going to go down 1. So from my point 0, 0, which is my origin, I go down 1, and that is my y-intercept there. All right, now I've got to work on my slope. According to step number 3, I've got to work on my slope. So right now I don't have my fraction, so I can write divided by 1, because remember, that doesn't change anything. So now I have a negative, so a negative tells me I'm going to go down, and my number is 3. So I'm going to go down 3. Then I know it's always to the right, and I'm going to go right 1. So from this point on my y-intercept, I'm going to go down 3, right 1. So I go down 1, 2, 3, right 1. Okay? And I could keep going on with that pattern of going down 3, right 1. But instead, I'm going to go the opposite way to go ahead and get another point. So instead of going down 3, I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3. Instead of going right, I'm going to go left. All right, now I can kind of see that I've got a line working. I'm going to use my Whataburger tint once again. Draw my line. I add my arrows. And that is now my function. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do number 3 with you guys as well. I have 2/5, which is attached to that x. So now that's going to be my slope. And that +2 there is going to be my y-intercept, okay, which is going to be my b. So m is going to be equal to 2/5. And my b is going to be equal to a +2. So I've got to break down what this information means. So if I have positive, that means I'm going to go up, and my number is 2. So for my y-intercept, I start at 0, 0, and I go up 1, 2. And I draw my y-intercept there. Okay. Now I've got to work with my slope. So on top, I have a regular 2. There's no negative there, so that means it's going to be positive. So that means I'm going to go up 2, and then if I'm looking at the bottom, it tells me I'm going to go right. It tells me I'm going to go right 5. Okay, and I apologize if that's kind of hard to read. I am trying my best. So I go up 2, 1, 2, and then I go to the right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so I label that point there. Now, if I wanted to add another point, I could, but remember, you can connect just 2 points. But I like to always do more than 2 personally. So instead of going up 2, I'm going to go down 1, 2, and then I go to the left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I use my Whataburger tint once again. Class of 2018. All right, and there we go. So one thing I kind of want you guys to pay attention to, okay, if we think back to slope, dude, all right, I have a negative, all right, slope there, all right, I had a -1. This slope is nice negative, okay, so I can see that I've done that correctly. All right, if I look on number 2, I have -3. Once again, I have nice negative for slope, dude. All right, just kind of an easy way to check yourself, all right? Then, if I look over here, I have 2/5. That's a positive 2/5 because there's not a negative there. So if I look, it's puff, puff, positive, okay? So make sure you double check that every time to make sure you're not messing that up, all right? So now let's just look at 7 and 8 very, very quickly. So one thing about 7 that I love is that I can always add 0 to anything and it doesn't change it. Because if you have, let's say, $2 and I tell you I'm going to give you $0, well, that doesn't change anything. So I can always add +0 to anything, okay? So now I go ahead and look at this. Now I have it in my slope-intercept form. So what's attached to x is going to be my slope. And then the number that does not have an x attached is going to be my y-intercept. all right? So you can see in this it was already given to you. So b equals 0. So what I like to tell my kids is I'm not going anywhere. I'm going nowhere. Okay, so my y-intercept is at 0, 0. I didn't have to go up. I didn't have to go down for my y-intercept. All right, which also, if we're going back a little bit, means that this is a direct variation. Okay, remember, anytime it goes through the origin, which is 0, 0, it's direct variation, all right, for that linear function. So now I've got to break down my slope. I have down 4, right 1. So I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, and I go right 1. Okay, I now could go the opposite. Instead of going down 4, I'll go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and instead of going right, I go left, and I create another point there. All right, I connect those, and I am done. Draw your little arrows. Okay, the last one I'm going to go ahead and talk about is number 8. That way it'll help you with number 9. So if we look at number 8, it's just a little bit goofy because I know that my slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. All right, but my m and my x aren't at the beginning like usual. All right, so you've got to be careful with situations like this. So my 5 is attached to that x, so that still means that it's my slope. And then this b, okay, this -3 here does not have a variable with it. It does not have an x with it, so it has to be my y-intercept. So that -3 is going to be my y-intercept. Once again, that's goofy because if you look, all of my other examples went MB, 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 MB. This one is switched, BM, just like number 9. Okay, so please be careful with that. Always be on the lookout. M is always attached to x, all right? So we'll go ahead and break this one down. M is equal to 5. B is equal to -3. So this -3 for my y-intercept tells me I'm going to go down 3 from the origin. So I go 1, 2, 3. And I draw my point. All right, for my slope, I know it can always be over 1. So I have up 5, right 1. That's a 1. Sorry, it's kind of hard to tell. All right, so I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and right 1. So I'm right here. Okay, on this graph, if I went the other way to draw an extra point, I'd run off the edge. Same if I'm going this way. Okay, so I'm not going to add an extra point on this one. I'm just going to go ahead and stop there. Okay, so on this particular worksheet, you need to work on 4, 5, 6, and 9. Okay, remember, you can always check a teacher's journal if you ask them politely. We'd love to make sure you're getting the right answers. All right, so now that is given slope-intercept form, graphing linear equations. Now let's go ahead and look at the next page in our journal, which looks like this. Okay, it says, plot the x and y intercept to form a line. We're going to use the cover-up method. All right, the reason we get to use the cover-up method is because this is a standard equation. The way we know it's a standard equation, x and y are on the same side of the equal sign. Okay, so x and y are on the same side of the equal sign. So if I look at number 10, x and y, both on the same side of that equal sign. Therefore, it is a standard equation. All right? So I'm going to use my x and y intercepts. So I get to use my cover-up method. So if I'm finding my x-intercept, which we're doing right here, okay, I cover up my y. So if I cover that up, I now have 5x equals -20. 5x equals -20. Then I have to solve for x. So I divide by 5 on each side. Those cancel out. So I'm left with x equals -4 because -20 divided by 5 gives me -4. All right, then I have to find my y-intercept. Okay, which once again I could use the cover-up method. So I cover up my x, which is the opposite. So I'm looking for y, so I cover up x. So I get a positive 4y equals -20. All right, I've then got to solve for y, so I divide by 4 on each side. Negative 20 divided by 4 gives me negative 5. All right, now that I have my x and y intercept, I'm just going to go ahead and write some coordinates so I know where to plot these. So for a coordinate, I'm just going to add this up at the top just because it is completely a review. I know coordinates go x, comma, y. Okay, so you've got to be careful how we're plugging these in. So if I have x equals negative 4, and I've got to write that into a coordinate, I know that x, this negative 4 is going to be an x, which goes in my first blank, because that negative 4 is an x value. When I am working with intercepts, okay, that means it's going through the axis, which means this other point is going to be 0. So when y equals 0, that's when I have my x-intercept. Now I've got to do the same thing right here for my y-intercept. So my y value is going to be negative 5, and it's going to be negative 5 when my x equals 0. All right? So remember, if I'm doing y-intercept, it's the opposite that's always 0. All right? If I'm doing my x-intercept, it's the opposite, the y, which is 0. Okay? So now from there, I just go ahead and plot these points. So I have negative 4, 0. So I go from the origin, I go 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't go up or down. That's my point. Here I have 0, negative 5, so don't go left or right. I just go down 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, I've now used 2 points. Remember, all you need is 2 points in order to draw a line. So I now have my 2 points. I connect them with a line, draw my arrows, and I am now done with that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do number 11. All right, and then we're going to be done with our graphing notes. So if I'm finding my x-intercept, I'm going to cover up my y. So I would get 2x equals 20. So I'm covering up that y there. All right, so I would divide by 2, because right now I have 2 times x, so I divide by 2 on each side, and I get x equals 10. All right, x equals 10. Then I'm going to find my y-intercept. Okay, I cover up my x, so I get negative 10y equals 20. All right. So I have negative 10 times y, so I divide, which is the opposite. Those will cancel out. I get y equals 20 divided by negative 10 is going to give me negative 2 there. All right, so now I've got to write these into coordinates, and I'll plot my points and be done. All right, draw my line and be done. So my x value is going to be 10, and since it's an x-intercept, my y value will be 0. Okay, my y value here is negative 2, and since it's a y-intercept, my x value must be 0. So I'm going to go ahead and plot these 2 points. So I have 10, 0, so I go to the left, positive 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, I have this point right here. And then I have 0, negative 2. So I don't go left or right, I just go down 1, 2. Okay, there's my 2 points. Yes, this one went a little off the grid, but that's okay. All right, not the end of the world. So I'm going to use my handy-dandy Whataburger tent. I combine my 2 lines, draw my arrow, and I am done. All right, you should now be able to do 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17 on this worksheet. Remember, check with the teacher if you're not sure of either how to do it or if you've done them and you just want to go ahead and get your work checked. All right, always check with a teacher.